The James Show Podcast.
Well, what a difference a couple days makes. Really, we have two pieces of good news that are dominating the discussion today. Number one is that the Israel-Iran-U.S. love triangle seems to be holding. The ceasefire, I think, is the more technical term than love triangle. However, I wasn't so sure that was going to be the case. You know, when it was announced yesterday, kind of a big deal. I half expected there to be some live video of someone shooting a missile down or something, but no. Maybe this is about to wrap itself up, and all the people who were screaming about the next apocalypse or getting their son drafted. It was a bunch of hyperbole. People got all ginned up watching the wrong news and made a fool out of yourself. We'll be playing some of that audio after we talk to my next caller, but I want to talk to him about the other great story. There was a THC ban that passed in the Texas state legislature, got vetoed at the last minute on Sunday night. Will it survive the special session? Maybe, but a couple reasons to be optimistic. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Brad in Southlake, you're on WBAP. Go.
Yeah. Hey, James. I just wanted to say I see your valid points of view, but I agree and disagree on both sides. As far as medical THC, I'm for that. I had a friend with cancer. It helped her eat because the chemo suppressed her appetite. And people like the caller earlier that had Parkinson's. I also have another friend that lives in the same town. He has Parkinson's, and it helps him as well. The only problem that I have is I listen to Dr. Daniel Amen a lot, and I study his procedure called the SPECT scan. And if you take a look at the brain imaging of a SPECT scan of a marijuana smoker, a THC user over a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years time, you start to see a lot of oxygen depletion from the brain, and the brain starting to die a lot. I think that also creates a lot of impaired judgment over people that smoke weed consistently or take THC consistently. But I'm not all for, but combating that, I'm not all for a complete ban on it. I do think medical marijuana and medical THC should be. How you regulate it or put it through the medical industry or prescribed by doctors, you know, that can be debated. But I'm one of the usual people that I'm for the medical, but I'm not for the recreational because I don't want to see
I see where you're going with that. My response would be, what's your feelings toward alcohol? Same way. It should be outlawed. You can only get alcohol through a prescription.
Yeah, no, and then see, here's the problem with that. Alcohol, they do SPECT scans also on alcohol, and the caller that said, or the emailer earlier that said alcohol is worse than weed, he's absolutely right. Alcohol does show on a SPECT scan over a period of time a lot worse for the brain than weed does. I do agree with that.
But you're okay with it being legal? Explain this difference of opinions here.
Oh, and that's where I agree with you, because I do agree with it being legal. I don't think we need to illegalize or make alcohol illegal for people that want to have their casual glass of wine with their Italian dinner. I understand that, or drink to relax, to help to bring their blood pressure down. So, that's a sticky point, and I can understand what the big debate on both sides
now,
is.
Now, what you are making the argument of is exactly what they said about alcohol before Prohibition. I've actually gone back and studied that. Do you know about the whole Prohibition? The temperance movement is what it was called, Wayne Wheeler and all that. Are you familiar with that?
I'm not real familiar with that. No, I know about Prohibition, but not the intel.
Yeah,
story.
there's Oversimplified made a really good video on Prohibition that's only like 8 minutes. I wish everyone would watch it because they're not actively trying to make the case for ending all drug prohibition. They were just focused on the alcohol. But, the health excuse is something that was thrown out in the temperance movement. Now that got blown out of the water because you're making you're not wrong in the fact that it has a negative effect, alcohol or weed on your brain. However, we have weed that's illegal. And so people are still doing that, and they're still having their brain affected. Pretty much anybody who wants weed can probably get it by the end of the day. And so you're making it illegal didn't solve the problem of the health consequences of people smoking weed. It just drove smoking weed underground, or gummies, or the vapes, or the pills, or I don't know, whatever people are doing these days, lotions, whatever. So you're not actually solving that problem. And even more scary, if you do use that as a legitimate right to a legitimate way to infringe on people's individual rights to choose whatever they put in their body, you can make an even worse case for sugar. The number one cause of most of our health problems in America is refined sugar, whether it's obesity or hypertension or any number of things. You know, how many of that leads back to a poor diet and less exercise? What are you going to do? You're going to outlaw sugar?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I see your point. And you know, that's what makes this whole argument on both sides so sticky, because you can go in any direction. And I just... No, you can't go in any direction. I see with all the combination we have of the information we know now, compared to, thank God we did the experiment of prohibition in the past, so we actually have a body of information to work on. No, the direction we go is toward liberty, toward individual rights, toward what the founding fathers set up for us. It's not like those hack founding fathers didn't think about prohibiting drugs. It was on the table. They just decided not to. They decided to keep all that stuff legal, and they decided that ultimately the backstop, the arbiter, and the responsibility on your health isn't going to be for a bunch of pencil neck geeks in capital. It's going to be on you, the individual. Right. Self-responsibility.
And I love hearing people kind of go through the process here, because I started where you are. When I got spit out of college, I was like, well, medical's okay, but, you know, you can't just leave drugs unfettered. And the more I studied into it, the more I read up on it, the more documentaries I watched, the more I saw it play out in real life in some of these different experiments like Colorado and Portugal and whatnot. I am 100% on the founding fathers train of there shouldn't be any regulations on it whatsoever. And if people are worried about, you know, with it being unregulated, it's not safe. Well, with it being given to you illegally, it's even less safe. You're getting it from the cartels. That's more safe than a business who has a built-in incentive to not kill their own customer. Remember, Chipotle almost went bankrupt because 32 people got diarrhea. You think the market doesn't hold up on its own if you start mistreating the customers around you? I was looking into a story that we're going to talk about more tomorrow. Do you know Fort Worth still has a DEI department? James, isn't that illegal? Yeah, it is illegal. And it was under debate, thank you very much, in the Fort Worth. Looks like city council was deciding if they're going to shut down their DEI department today. And Carlos Tercios from the Dallas Express shared out a video from the meeting. And I couldn't stand 5 seconds of the audio because it's a lady who's wearing a mask. And this isn't a video that was taken in 2020 or 2021 or even 2022. This is a video that was taken today. Lady, why are you wearing a mask? It's 2025. Boy, some people just can't be brainwashed hard enough, can they? Some people, they just walk into the hypnotist chair already just spaced out. Lady, like, even if you were fooled by masks at the beginning, and I wasn't. I was always against it. I was considered a total butthead, only to be vindicated by the Cochrane study. Are you familiar with the Cochrane Institute? They did the big study where they did the meta-analysis of all the other mass studies. And I think this was 2023. I think it was 2023 when the Cochrane study came out, July 23, if I remember correctly, where they said, okay, the mask didn't work. The mask didn't work. The mask mandates definitely didn't work. Well, what if it's an N95 mask? Didn't work. Didn't help. There's no statistical difference in the places that did it and didn't do it, the people who did wear it and people who didn't wear it. This lady's still wearing a mask. And it's 2 years after the Cochrane report, after big science, and science with like a little TM next to it, after the science admitted there's still no use in wearing a mask. This lady's still wearing a mask. See, these people get this sensational news and it's exciting to them. And if you have a boring life, if you don't have a whole lot going on, if you don't have a lot of things already occupying your time and your space and your brain power, this kind of stuff creeps in, you know, sort of the idle hands or the devil's workshop. And some people, they make this, it gives them a sense of purpose, a sense of being, you're not just some boring person who does the checkout line at Dollar General. You're saving the planet. You're fighting global warming. You're fighting fascists. You're fighting racism. You're fighting fascism. You're fighting the genocide of trans people or the Palestinians, or I guess it's the Iranians this week. But boy, some people get so just dug into the system, so inured, that it's really hard for them to get out. Let me give you a lady who went viral. I think this is on Sunday. She's working at an Amazon warehouse, wearing a mask. Kid you not. And she's just wondering, how can she go on when we're bombing Iran?
I just want to know how I'm supposed to do my job when we bombed Iran and we're just supposed to go on about. We're just supposed to get these boxes out without being worried. I just need somebody to explain to me how I'm supposed to not crash out.
Yeah, the same way you did it before. The same way you did the day before that. The same way you're doing it today. In fact, what has changed now that we've bombed Iran? You work in an Amazon warehouse. You take the order, you put the stuff in the box, you close the box, you slap the label on, you put it on the truck. Nothing changes whether or not we bombed Iran or Iraq or Afghanistan or Azerbaijan or Turkmenistan or any of the stands. Anywhere. How does that change your lot in life one bit? It doesn't. But it gives them a sense of excitement. We have something going on. I think that's one of the reasons that the COVID hypnotism worked so well. If your life is good, if your life is cushy, if you have routine, if you're not missing any meals and you're never homeless and you never get rained on, metaphorically or literally speaking, some people can misinterpret that as boring, which a good life is less exciting than catastrophe. That's for sure. It's not preferable. But I think these people just needed some level of excitement here. It's like, how can I go on with the Iranians being bombed? Well, put the stuff in the box, close the box, put the label on it, put it on the truck. But now how silly do you sound? You were so concerned about Iran and World War III blowing up. This was just Sunday. Here we are 2 days later. Is it still a problem? Is this a big catastrophe? Or were you concerned about the one thing that brought peace, at least temporarily, to the region? So will she go through and will she question the same news sources that told her this is a catastrophe, this is terrible, this is not good for world peace, human death and suffering is about to just be piled on us like an avalanche? Is she going to trust them? She's watching them right now. Yeah, I guarantee you she's watching them right now, waiting for the next thing to be excited about, waiting for the next thing to be upset about. Oh, no, there's cops that are murdering minorities for sport and never being punished. Oh, no, they're deporting American citizen children to countries they've never been to and laughing about it with no due process. Oh, no, there's fill in the next tragedy. And it just never ends. There's a war on women. There's a war on people's gender identity. There's a war on the Palestinians. There's a war. Oh, stop it. Calm down. Look at how wrong you were just 2 days ago. Look at how wrong all the reporting was in the news 2 days ago. Really, just 26 hours ago. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. 9227. All right, still coming up on the James Show. The Department of Justice investigating the Chicago mayor for admitting he only hired black people for top jobs. That doesn't sound legal. We'll talk about it next on the James Show. News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Bob Lavelle, my buddy, this is the guy you need to call when you're ready to get out of the rent race and get into home ownership. Also the guy you need to call when you already own a home and you want to get a different home. I don't know if you have to move for work, if you want to upgrade to your dream home, if you want to downsize into your retirement home. Anytime there's going to be a movement in where you are living, you got to think Bob Lavelle. Welcome to the show, Bob.
Thank you, James. Now, you've been doing this radio gig thing for what, 20, 30 years?
23 years in August.
And I've been doing this real estate thing for about 30. And you know what? I got to tell you, I don't know if it's like this in your business, but in my business, I still have to go to school every 2 years and get in 18 more hours. And you would think after 30 years, you pretty much keep up with the things. So I learned today in my class, and I've been in class for 2 days now. I go free here in about an hour. But I learned that there are plans now to actually build on the moon. Now, it's still going to be a few years away, but it's a guy in Texas here that's actually created the stuff to do that. So if you're not interested in going to the moon, great. But if you're looking for something in Texas today, this could be your lucky day.
Yeah. I'm not looking for the moon, maybe like Frisco or Prosper or something to that effect. Moon is maybe a little out of my orbit, would you say, Mom? All right, if you need to get into a home or you need to get rid of your home, it's the same phone number, 972-392-9595. Or if you need to do both, 972-392-9595. You can call Bob Lavelle Home Marketing Services through his classic website, blessyourheart.com, or the phone number, 972-392-9595. All right, thanks again, Bob. Go make it happen.
You got it. And if the moon thing comes early, keep it on the refrigerator.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.
Coming up in just a second, you're going to hear how the mayor of a major American city is under fire. The mayor of Chicago admitted in an interview, yeah, we just hire black people for all the top spots. And so now we all kind of looked at each other. Isn't that kind of illegal? And the Department of Justice announced an investigation. Oh, wait till you hear this. But first, Danny, Dallas, you're on WBAP. Go.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Danny. Thanks for calling the show.
Yeah, I kind of forgot the points I was going to make. You were talking about 10 minutes ago about global warming and all these other points and then calling it the system. And it's just a lot to go over. But
sure.
What I've discovered in my own research and the 57 years I've been walking this planet is that the system itself is what lies to the people to bring it into bondage, debt, slavery, blah, blah, blah. Like the whole global warming thing. Complete lie. One thing about it is the number one selling real estate across the planet is oceanfront property. So it has to be the absolute worst investment anybody could make for oceanfront property if the oceans are rising. It's just simply not true. It's just another money grab by the governments of the world.
Well, you're making a valid point, but let me just relay in a sort of a devil's advocate fashion what people say back to me when I say that. They say that the sea rise is going to happen over the course of 100 years, and I'll be long gone before it knocks over my house on the beach. So no, it is possible to be consistent with beachfront property and belief in catastrophic global warming.
Oh.
Now, I don't believe in the theory of global warming for 1,000 other reasons, and I totally agree with your point there. I'm just sharing like the common clapback that I've heard from global warming people. All right, what were your other points, Danny?
Well, the thing is, I'm not really sure what point you were trying to make. I saw it. Like, I never listened to the radio, and you popped up as I was just switching over to my phone. I was listening to what you had to say, but you kind of cut off, and so I called in right away. And some of the points that you were making, I can't tell what point and what direction you were going with them. But the global warming thing did stick out. But beside the point, there was other things about there was a person who works at the dollar store and everybody has value, and that's totally true. But it seemed like it was really extreme left and always pushing towards a liberal agenda, unless I heard you wrong, and that the right really has nothing to say. They have no valid points. There's no truth in what they have to say. But I'm not really sure if I heard you correctly, so I can't be positive.
No, well, then I'm certainly glad you called. I bristle at being called left. Good Lord. Please don't associate me with the Democrats, especially. I mean, we're talking about the party that did slavery and Jim Crow and the Trail of Tears and internment camps and the KKK and all the lynchings. And now these days, even affirmative action. It's just legalized racism. So no, definitely not that. I think I sometimes can sound like I agree with Democrats on these social issues because I'm more libertarian, both fiscally and socially. So yeah, I want there to be legal drugs, not because I think drugs are good. I just think that the individuals themselves should have the liberty to decide what they do and don't do with their own bodies. Now, Democrats agree with that in abortion, but in nothing else. You know, they want to regulate the dog snot out of everything from candy to food dyes to the paper straws, even, Danny. So, you know, sometimes I think it's easy for new people like you to get confused on what I believe. And so I'm glad you called rather than speculating that I'm just some jerk you disagree with.
Oh, no, not at all. Yeah, because I want to make sure I heard you correctly. And here's a dude who was born in Wisconsin, raised in New Jersey, went to California for college, and now lives in Texas. I knew nothing about politics, knew nothing about God, knew nothing about nothing when I was younger. And living in all those states, I was always conservative, just by automaticness. And I don't even know how. I wasn't raised any way of that. I just know that there's a God above, and he's got rules for the human race. And when you follow them, you get blessed. And it leans towards fairness, and it leans towards the right, if you could say that politically, for the most part, not completely.
I hear you.
And when I hear points, man, like that, and the global warming thing and the abortion thing, it's like, love God, love your neighbor, stop killing each other, stop hating each other, and do something productive with your life.
Well, another thing that I've learned through my adult education is just reinforcing over and over and over how right the founding fathers were in the Constitution. All right, now let me set up my next topic here, and thank you. That was a great call, Danny in Dallas. Let me set up my next topic here by showing you this investigation that was just announced by the Department of Justice at the end of last week.
The U.S. Department of Justice opening up a civil rights investigation into the city of Chicago. The DOJ specifically looking into the city's hiring practices. This comes after remarks Mayor Brandon Johnson made at the Apostolic Church of God in Woodlawn yesterday, where Mayor Johnson shared his vision for the rest of his term, emphasizing education, public safety, and equity. Johnson also saying his administration is one of the most diverse in the city's history.
All right, here it is.
Business and Economic Neighborhood Development, the deputy mayor is a black woman. Department of Planning and Development is a black woman. Infrastructure deputy mayor is a black woman. Chief Operations Officer is a black man. Budget Director is a black woman. Senior Advisor is a black man.
We just received a statement from the mayor's office in the past half hour.
All right, so that's sort of the basis of what we're going to talk about in the next segment. Should that be legal for this guy to purposefully just hire only black people for all the top positions in the city of Chicago? Now, certainly that runs afoul, just ethically speaking in your sensibilities, but is it legal? Does that count as diversity in their playbook? Because I think that's something they celebrate. Hey, if you want to see me this weekend, I'm going to be opening for Alex Stein, doing comedy at the Hyenas in Dallas. This isn't like an official station event or anything. This is just me and a buddy having some fun. And Alex Stein, he's on The Blaze. You've probably seen him in viral videos, harassing different city councils around town. So, Hyenas, doors open at 6. Show starts at 7. And I actually have a couple spots left on the guest list, but I figure if you want to get in, that probably won't last very long. Just send me an email or whatever. But you better go if I put you on the list. They just gave me like 15 people, and I only have 4 friends. So I got like 5 pairs to just, give away or whatever. More details, find WBAP's Facebook page or Twitter account. I am super excited at this new investigation announced from the Department of Justice into Brandon Johnson. And Brandon Johnson went out and bragged that he only hired black people for the top spots. Now, I have said on this show, and you have probably thought it, even if you didn't hear it from me, but diversity, when they use it in woke parlance, doesn't mean diversity. Because in the dictionary, diversity means all kinds of different things mixed together. And so if you had diversity, they wouldn't be all white, but they also wouldn't be all black. And so I've noticed this, like you see the post where, hey, look, the Penn State has, it's the first time that we have a black athletic director, a black head coach of football, a black head coach in basketball, and a black head coach in baseball. And then they'll say hashtag diversity, but that's not diversity. They're all the same color. That's the opposite of diversity. That is a monolith. And so you realize, when they're using diversity in that context, they just mean anti-white. It's just plain old racism, but it's in an acceptable form because it's not that kind of racism. Okay, I got it. So Brandon Johnson is on the hot seat. And one of the first ways that I suspect, and you probably agree, that we need to get rid of racism is to stop judging people based on the color of their skin. And that doesn't just mean in bad situations. That means in positive situations. You don't make them go to the back of the bus, but you also don't exclusively hire them for top positions in a major American city. So here's Brandon Johnson just cutting out the...
Business and Economic Neighborhood Development, the deputy mayor is a black woman. Department of Planning and Development is a black woman. Infrastructure deputy mayor is a black woman. Chief operations officer is a black man. Budget director is a black woman. Senior advisor is a black man.
So when you hear something like that, Team Blue hears that and they're like, yes, look at this great diversity. Team Red says, okay, that's racist. People who are sort of independent and not really married into the two-party system say, that's definitely not diverse. That is not what diverse, that's not what the word means. So no, and that's quite often when they say diversity, they definitely don't mean diversity of thought. Brandon Johnson, also another part of that event that he held that might get a little attention by the Department of Justice.
They wanted to create division, but we're not going to allow that to happen in the city of Chicago. Much like we fought for civil rights 60 years ago, we're going to continue to make sure that whether you are black, brown, Asian, white, young, old, working people deserve to be prioritized. And this misnomer that there's division, and consternation within communities solely based on this issue is just wrong. He's working to eliminate black history. He is trying to eliminate black existence from this country, but he's also attacking the LGBTQ+.
I wouldn't say he's trying to eliminate black existence.
We're going to bring people together in this country to make sure we build the safest, most affordable big city in America.
Even the CNN anchor had to tap the brakes a little bit. I don't think he's trying to wipe out black existence. Just tap the brakes. So here we have a guy who is hiring people based solely on the color of their skin. Well, I don't want to say solely, but he's excluding people. How about that? Based on the color of their skin. Seems to run afoul of some of our equal protection laws. Is that a hate crime? Does anyone else loving this diversity here? So we'll talk about this also tomorrow in the Fort Worth context, because they have their own DEI issues going on right now. DEI programs were supposedly outlawed by the state government, which means you can't have them in city councils, you can't have them in public schools, you can't have them in colleges and universities. But Fort Worth still had one. And so they were debating it today, and they're probably ending the meeting about right now. But I already got a couple of great sound bites from it. And, I can't wait to do tomorrow's show. I wish I had 3 more hours. I would just do 3 more hours right now. But you got to come back for tomorrow's show for sure. That's going to about do it for my time today. But if you want to catch the parts of the show you missed, I know you weren't here for all 3 hours. Come back and check out the podcast. It doesn't cost anything. It's a super fast way to consume the show. And the fact that I cut out a bunch of the commercials and the weather and the sports and the traffic, because, that's not going to be pertinent 6 hours from now. So it's you can listen to it in about half the time. There's still some commercials in there, but it's less, and get all caught up that way. So go to WBAP.com, the WBAP app, whatever app you're already using to listen to podcasts. If you're going to be so obstinate that you don't want to download another app, fine. Use the one you're already using. Just make sure you find me. And go find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all those good social media sites. We got a lot of good content there, a lot of fun videos, and you can judge me based on my appearance. Stick around. Mark Levin's coming up next. I'm James Parker. This has been The James Show. News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP.
The James Show Podcast.